What's up, Trainee Axe? Welcome to this week's Triathlon News Day Tuesday. Big things happening, some unfortunate things happening. Number one, there is a new running shoe upstart that is making waves out there. Number two, people are dying in races. And number three, a young upstart from France surprises people in Hamburg. What's up, Trainee Axe? Welcome to this week's Triathlon News Day Tuesday, where every single Tuesday we talk about the ongoings around the triathlon world. As always, make sure you stick around to the end, where everyone's favorite part of Triathlon News Day Tuesday is shared, and that is a story from the Trainee Axe community. And as always, all of the full links to everything that we discuss will be in the description below. Now let's start off with the new running shoe startup that has been founded by Danny Abshire. Now he was one of the founders of Newton Running. He unfortunately had a bit of a falling out with Newton over the last few years, went and started an insole company. This insole company is named Active Imprints, and he started up a new line of running shoes under the Active Imprints brand. The first shoe that he's just announced last week is a 5.9 ounce racing flat, which, if you look at it, looks surprisingly like the old Newton MV2. Personally, I was a really big fan of Newton for a lot of years, but over the last couple of years, kind of seemed to have fallen off the map. I wondered why that is, and I didn't really realize that Danny had this falling out. Maybe that has something to do with it, so I'm interested to see what he comes out with Active Imprints. Now, unfortunately, bad news this week is that two athletes drowned at an Olympic distance race in Malaysia. Now, I need my notes to pronounce their name. 42-year-old Jeffrey Yuan Chuan and 39-year-old Tharm Wei Wong both got pulled out of the water after the swim at this Malaysia race. Now, this was the Port Dickson International race, like I said, in Malaysia, and apparently the waters were really rough over the course of the weekend. Now, Yuan was found 1 nautical mile, 1.85 kilometers from the swim, while Tharm was found 750 meters from the swim. They were both pronounced dead at a local hospital, and the local Minister of Health is investigating the situation to see if any rules were broken during the course of the race that may have led to this unfortunate event. And the ITU sprint distance race in Hamburg happened. This is a race that's held on the WTS, the World Triathlon Circuit, so it always draws some of the most competitive pro triathletes at that short distance sprint event. And the podium on the men's side was basically the virtual who's who of short distance running, with Mola winning by 5 seconds over Vincent Louis from France and 8 seconds over Richard Murray. On the women's side, we had a big surprise. Young upstart Cassandre Beaugrand, who came into the race as the 26th seed, won against a very deep field, being the only female athlete to run under 16 minutes, and she won by over 30 seconds. Now, Flora Duffy also returned to racing after the injury that she's been battling recently, and she placed 10th in Hamburg. Now, that was Saturday in Hamburg. On Sunday, the mixed team relay happened, which is an absolute bloodbath of a race. It is a 300-meter swim, a 7K bike, and then a 1.7K run. Just absolute pedal to the metal racing from start to finish, where 4 athletes, 2 men and 2 women, race interchangeably, and they go all out. It was carnage at the finish lines. The race was won by the French team of Cassandre Beaugrand, Vincent Louis, Leonie Perrault, and Dorian Konings. Awful at names today. That was a quieter weekend on the Ironman circuit. The only pro race was the Ironman UK, which was won by Joe Skipper of Great Britain in 7:55:34. Now granted, there was only a 95-mile bike ride, so slightly short course. And on the women's side, Lucy Gossage also won on home turf, winning by over 32 minutes in 8:50. 51:18. A very quick update on the Triathlon Taren podcast. Just yesterday, we published an interview with Mel Hothschild, who I believe is probably the most underrated and potentially one of the greatest triathletes of all time. And we talk a lot about that in the podcast. And if any of you have had difficulties with the podcast, wondering where it is, why it hasn't been publishing, literally, as we speak right now, we are changing over to a new podcast provider, so you should see all of the episodes coming through that you've missed. We've been doing a weekly episode every single week. Haven't missed one. You've actually had bonus episodes. So stay tuned. Check out the podcasts that you missed. Now finally, on to this week's Trainee Axe Story, which starts off by saying, "Hi Taren, my name is Justin Dunderdale. I decided on Memorial Day weekend of 2017 to get serious about my health. I've struggled with my weight since 4th grade when my parents divorced and I turned to food as a stress reliever for the following 25 years. After getting out of the Army and joining the police department, where I only had to be fit during training, I gradually gained weight for the following 9 years until I found myself at 318 pounds, 140 kilograms. Just over a year ago, I started counting steps, which then led to me watching my food intake, and I set a goal of running 5K that August, which I did. However, straining my Achilles just before the halfway point. It was probably a dumb decision looking back on it, but I started running again and finished the race. Afterwards, my doctor told me bicycling would help as long as I could do it without pain. I could, and I resolved to do a triathlon. On June 16th, I raced in the Topeka Tin Man Triathlon, doing the sprint distance race, finishing with a time of 1:27:19. Very good time, Jason. Going into that race, I had lost 100 pounds in a little over a year, and I took a page out of Joe Friel's book and set one goal: finish the race with a smile. I met that goal and then some. I'm now going to try to do something new fitness-wise every single month, whether it be a race or a workout. For example, not only did I go for a shirtless run for the first time in May, but I even posted it on Instagram. I also want to give a shout out to two of my friends who also did their first triathlon with me at the Tin Man, Kaylee and Lucas Thompson. Taren, thank you for what you're doing. Let me join the crowd of people who are living proof that you and the Trainee Axe community can help people to stop making excuses and drop kick your fears." Yeah! We haven't talked about drop kicking your fears lately, Jason, but that's awesome to see that you're taking triathlon, using it as a springboard to just be more confident in life. What you're doing on Instagram is something that takes a lot of people guts, and it's a scary thing to do that. And you're sharing it here now in front of several thousand of your closest friends, so thank you for having the courage to do that. Good on you for doing it, and congratulations on your race. If anyone else wants to get their story shared here on Triathlon Newsday Tuesday, doesn't have to be with your shirt off, email me at Taren@triathlontaren.com, and if you're liking Triathlon Newsday Tuesday and you aren't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. It's free. And if you are subscribed, thanks. Later, and we will see you next Tuesday.